Hello, good morning. Today we are tackling one of the most urgent challenges in early childhood education and care, which is Australia's staffing crisis. This is not just a staffing issue, it's a deep systematic challenge that affects the quality of learning for children, the well being and retention of educators, and the ability of leaders to uphold the national quality standards and deliver on the EYLF outcomes. When educator numbers drop, children miss out on the emotional support, empathy, and consistent relationships that foster their development. Educators become physically present but emotionally absent by rushing between the routines, documentation, and compliance. This unintentional emotional neglect is not a lack of care but a symptom of exhaustion. By the end of this session, you will see how collaborative, research informed, and reflective leadership can help stabilize our workforce and restore high quality learning environments. So, let's see why the staffing matters for every child. Almost every young child in Australia aged between 3 to 5 years attend the early learning service. And here, the stable relationship between the educator and child are the foundation for children's language, confidence, and emotional security. Yet, in 2024, there were over 11,000 vacant roles, which is nearly the double the 2020 figures. When the ratios are stretched, educators can't give children enough time, patience, or empathy they deserve. Many educators describe their feeling as drained and constantly rushed, which diminishes the secure, respectful relationship expected under QFI. These pressures reduce educators' ability to respond sensitively, causing emotional disconnection not by choice but by circumstances. As you can see the graph, how the vacant positions have been increased from 2020 to 2024. And why is the scale of problem arising? The data is alarming. Like 1 in 3 educators plan to leave within a year, and 35% of services operate below the ratio requirements, and 72% cite low pay, high workload, and burnout as the key factors. This creates a cycle with fewer staff, more stress, and more resignations. Burnout just doesn't impact the educators, it also affects the children's emotional safety and learning continuity. This visualization highlights the key issues that we are addressing: the burnout and the mental health, saying as 8%, the lack of career progression or the professional development as 13%, and workload and administrative stress as 25%, and the low pay and wage dissatisfaction as 48% are some of the reasons for the educators leaving within a year based on the 2024 report. All right, so why the waitlist? How Let's talk about the waitlist and also the impacts on families. The ongoing workforce crisis in early childhood education directly impacts the families, resulting in longer and more restrictive waitlists than ever before, with some centers having up to 120 children ahead on their lists. This situation delays many parents' ability to return to work and forces them to reduce their working hours, which in turn places significant financial stress on household budgets. Parents have described waitlists as arbitrary and disorganized, compounding anxiety and uncertainty. The service refusal is another barrier, disproportionately affecting children with additional needs. Families often face difficult financial decisions such as cutting back on food, transport, or housing costs as they struggle to secure childcare. The waitlists do more than restrict children's access to early learning and social opportunities. They also disrupt family employment, income stability, and overall well being. Alright, so how did we get here? What is the reason? The crisis has deep roots. It began before COVID 19 but worsened dramatically when the pandemic added stress, health risks, and unstable conditions. The government's Workforce Strategy 2022 to 2031 aimed to attract and retain educators through scholarships and professional pathways, yet the shortages persist, indicating the need for stronger leadership at the service level. This timeline highlights the progression from 2019 to 2024 and on the ongoing impact of the crisis. Why is it a risk to quality standards? The workforce shortages trigger a powerful ripple effect. Educator turnover weakens continuity with the children, which disrupts curriculum planning and leads to non compliance with QA 1, 4, and 7. From my own experience, I have seen educators struggling to maintain ratios while being overwhelmed by routines and documentation. They want to connect with children but are constantly rushing by managing hygiene, updates, and routines. This leaves very little time for teachable moments or genuine emotional connection with the children. Many times they also keep missing lunch breaks, experiencing fatigue, and feel unrecognized by leadership. These conditions cause burnout and emotional stress. Educators' dedication is extraordinary, but without recognition, balance, or emotional support, morale collapses and children miss vital relational care. Here, the ripple effect describes how the single event, which is the educator shortage, can trigger a series of consequences spreading far beyond the initial impact. Let's see what are the different leadership theories which can guide us with the practical solutions. As we can see, we have transformational, distributed, servant, instructional, and adaptive leadership theories, which has their own key focusing and applications to the retention. The transformational leadership builds a shared purpose and motivation. The distributed leadership shares responsibility and eases pressure. The servant leadership centers well being and empathy. The instructional leadership ensures program quality. The adaptive leadership helps teams navigate uncertainty. The best services blend all of these approaches, reflecting the EYLF with collaborative and reflective principles. The responsible leaders often acknowledge effort and share duties fairly and support educators both personally and professionally. They mentor, recognize achievements, and advocate for well being, modeling empathy, trust, and fairness. When educators feel supported, they actually thrive. Let's see what are the research informed solutions. Evidence shows that effective solutions combine policy reforms with leadership driven change. According to the United Workers Union, 48% of educators plan to leave within a year without wage increases, and 85% colleagues report says that they left due to the burnout, and 94% says because of their well-being or safety was compromised by the stress. These figures show burnout, not just pay, is a major factor driving turnover. Leaders can counter this by implementing mentoring programs, flexible rosters, and reflective feedback cycles. Acknowledging efforts, celebrating milestones, and giving educators professional agency fosters retention and renewal. What are the policy risks and leadership duties? Leadership is not just an optional thing, it's embedded in law and standards. For example, Regulation 168 requires policies on staffing to meet ratio and qualification needs. Leaders who apply reflective practices as guided by EYLF version 2 can adapt to challenges and advocate for resources with evidence. What are the future directions for workforce and leadership? We have short term, medium term, and long term as the three different terms, which focuses individually on stability and well being, professional development pipelines and leadership, and sustainable high quality workforce. Let's see individually in depth. The staffing crisis is not just a workforce statistic, it's the quality of care issuing impacting every child, family, and educator. While low pay, poor conditions, and policy delays need urgent attention, leadership within services is the lever we can act on now by embedding collaborative leadership, mentoring, and well being initiatives. Leaders can address current shortages while advocating for long term reform. This aligns with QA7's focus on continuous improvement and ensures every child remains at the center of the decision making. Children thrive when educators feel safe, valued, and supported. Ignoring their well being risks burnout and quality decline. But when we invest in leadership, mentoring, and professional growth, we build sustainable improvement and stronger relationships across the sector. Ultimately, leadership is the bridge between today's challenges and tomorrow's possibilities, ensuring every child experiences high quality, emotionally responsive early education. Thank you for engaging with this vital conversation and for your commitment to shaping a stronger future together.